Hello booktube, my name is Rebecca and welcome to my grotto. For today I'm going to share with you guys my March wrap up. March? What year is it? 6 books to share with you guys today. Pretty good reading month, I would say. I didn't feel like I read that much, so the fact that I read 6 I feel is pretty good. Let's just jump right in. So the first 2 that I'm going to share with you are pretty popular, and I know a lot of people are obsessed with this series. I will tell you right off the bat, I've never read this series before. This is the first time. I know, WTF Rebecca, where have you been? I don't know where I've been. The point is, I am super late to this fandom, but I'm here and I'm so excited. Books that I'm talking about are The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan and The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. I thoroughly am enjoying these. I've only read these 2 so far. I have 4 or 5. I think is there 5 or is there 6? I think there's 6. Well, I have the rest of this series and I'm really excited to get to it. I've been taking my time with them because I've been enjoying them so much. I don't want them to end, and I know that Rick Riordan has more series and I'm really excited for them, but I love these. I'm only going to tell you guys a little bit about what this is about. I'm sure everyone and their mothers have read this, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but the story follows Percy Jackson, who is half god and half mortal, and it follows him and his friends and his adventures, and it's such a good read. Again, I'm sure everyone, their mothers and their grandmas have read this except me. So Rick Riordan, who knew? Well, you guys all probably knew. I didn't know. The next one I'm going to share with you is Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life by Brian Lee O'Malley. I've never heard of this. I just picked it up on a limb. Enjoyed it enough that I will continue to read it. It was a little weird. It wasn't what I was expecting, so it kind of threw me off, but I really liked it. I'm going to continue on. I know that there's quite a bit of these out. For those of you who don't know what this is about, the story follows Scott Pilgrim, who is living a life, 23-year-old guy living a sweet life, and he's dating a high school girl, but all of a sudden he starts to dream about a different girl, and he realizes that this girl is real and is not just in his dreams but is out in the world. She comes into his life and he is just in love with Ramona, who is the girl he's dreaming about. Girl of his dreams, literally the girl of his dream. So he tries to date her, tries to get to know her, but Ramona comes with a lot of baggage. For Scott to get to know Ramona and date Ramona, Scott has to fight and get through Ramona's 7 evil ex-boyfriends. The next book I'm going to talk about is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is the very first Colleen Hoover book I've read. I loved it so much and it broke my heart. I don't even know how to describe this book. It was not what I expected. I thought it was just going to be some like cutesy fartsy book and a love story, but it was so much more than that. There was so much more content to that. This book follows our main character Lily, who is from a small town in Maine, and she moves to Boston to settle down and rediscover herself and just kind of, do her own thing. When she starts to settle down in Boston, she meets this guy and she starts to have a connection to this guy and they start to build a relationship. However, when Lily thinks everything's okay, the past comes and knocks on her door and knocks her off her feet, and there's just drama for days. Next up it's another graphic novel. The next novel is Giant Days by Alison Tryman Kogar. It looks like those are 3 different people. I don't know if it's author illustrators. This follows Susan, Esther, and Daisy, and they have been in college for 3 weeks and they decide that they're going to reinvent themselves, and they go through some stuff between boy issues and getting sick and discover things about themselves they didn't even know. So it's an interesting read. There wasn't a lot to it just because it is volume 1. I think there's 5 volumes, there might be more than that. So of course it was just kind of starting you off. I liked all the characters They were all really different from each other. There was someone there for different people to relate to, so I really enjoy that about it. Also, the drawings are, I really like the drawings. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's bright yellow. I love the cover. I love bright colors. So the last book that I have for my wrap up is a book that I had to read for my book club. I have a book club with two of my other friends. We take turns picking books, or sometimes we just pick out of a hat just random books. For this meeting, we picked out Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I don't want to share too much about this just because we haven't had a book club meeting yet, and I don't want to talk about it very much when I haven't even discussed it with my book club in case somebody sees this video, and I don't want things getting spoiled. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It is a sci-fi novel. I mean, it's Ray Bradbury. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of this. I read this at the beginning of the month, so I kind of am like, what was this book about? What did I read? But I remember it took me a minute to get into it just because it's really different from the stuff I read. But once I got into it, I devoured it in the sitting. It's not too big of a read. It's a pretty tiny read, but that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. And I apologize because that's not very much that I'm saying. So there it is, my month of April wrap up. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed what I read this month. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe down below. If you guys have any questions, any suggestions, go ahead and leave those down below. Until next time.